International travel is increasingly restricted, and those rules differ hugely from country to country. And many think the UK's standards are too lax.
Rafael Rashid.
Raphael is a journalist from Notting Hill who's based in South Korea. This is the strict regime he went through going back. It took 24 hours and involved multiple tests and quarantine.
My arrival in the UK compared to what I recently experienced in South Korea were completely opposite. I don't think you can say that there was a regime in place when I arrived in London. There were no checks, there was no temperature check. No one is there to check whether you filled out a passenger locator form. For the first time in 1 year, I felt very vulnerable and exposed to the virus.
My name is Shalom Matsakeza.
Shalom is a UK citizen. She returned from South Africa yesterday via Dubai into Heathrow. She'd been visiting family. Direct flights are banned due to a new variant of the virus. She took a test before departing, but she didn't have to.
All we were asked was for our passenger locator forms, but no COVID tests or anything like that. And then they just asked where we were isolating, and that was about it, really.
And were you surprised by that?
Yeah, it worried me a bit, because to think that people on the plane could have COVID and not have had a test, and it's not like we were social distancing on the plane, but also coming in, that people who had COVID could be coming in as well, was quite scary.
In the UK, there are only a few reasons why people can fly, like essential work or repatriation, and most countries now have checks. To fly to South Korea, you have to have a negative test before departing. You're tested on arrival, and you then have to quarantine for 14 days. To fly to New Zealand, you have to have a test again before flying. There's then a 14-day managed quarantine and more testing before you're released. But to arrive in the UK, you only have to complete a passenger locator form and then self-isolate for up to 10 days.
I think there are many problems with the current UK system. Also, the lack of managed isolation and quarantine. So we're not really sure what the compliance with quarantine is likely to be, given that there's not very much support provided in this regard, and not, we can't do very much to actually check what's happening in that regard. So I think, particularly in the situation we're in right now, where there are different variants of virus circulating, for example, the new one in South Africa that's raising concerns, we need to be very, very careful about letting infection in from other places.
The aviation industry has been calling for a global testing standard for months, and yesterday the Prime Minister confirmed testing would be introduced, but it's not clear when. And many think the changes are too little too late. Tom Edwards, BBC London.